All right, Bellringer 4 today. Coming up, coming at you. Detail the significance of the battles of Okinawa and Iwo Jima. Within your response, detail how these two battles symbolize the end of the war in the Pacific. There we go. There you go. We talked about these two yesterday. I guess I gotta put that up. 21st. Yeah, 21st. This one too. Griffin, current event tomorrow? Sweet. Can't wait to hear it. Give you another minute to finish up here. We'll move on. All right, 40, what do you have?
The two battles were very significant because it showed Japan was getting pushed back to their own borders.
Good.
And that led to them obviously being able to not spread out anymore. And this just showed that the war was coming to an end, with Japan being pushed back to their own borders.
Okay, good job. Good job. So you're saying the island hopping technique, that worked. It was successful. And how we're finally pushing the Japanese expansion and their borders back to, well, the Japanese island. And, the successful retaking of the Philippines, we talked about that briefly yesterday. MacArthur said he was going to come back, and he did. And moving closer and closer to that island of Japan. All right, good job. So, what else? What else do we have? What else we got for this one? Griffin, what do you have?
Um, I just put it was important because it was one of the final pushes for the American military in the Pacific, and it signified the end of the war because they pushed them back to their border.
Good. So Okinawa, Iwo Jima, we know those are a small chain of islands right below the mainland of Japan. Okay, right around this location here. And with that being said, if we can capture these two islands, what can we then do? Troy?
Bomb major cities.
Yeah, good job. We can target many major cities. Okay, we were doing that really throughout that time of 42 to 45, but now we have a closer shot to it. We can use these smaller islands as really air bases to target many of these major cities in Japan. But talk about the battles themselves. What's so important, impactful about these battles? Troy, go ahead. Yeah, good job. Good job. It really showed and symbolized that Japan, with their culture, that they'll never give up, that they're going to fight to the bitter end. And with kamikaze pilots, we mentioned that yesterday, they will literally suicide bomb into many naval ships, military outposts, army divisions, whatever it might be, that were invading these islands. Okay, I know I talked briefly about the invasion themselves.
Like the Japanese would have in the mountains and big homes in there, so they really just they got the beach where they wanted.
All right, so at Iwo Jima especially, right? Mount Suribachi, they're heavily, placed inside that mountain and that volcano, and they were digging in defenses there, okay, bunkers, pillboxes, you name it, and really around the beach itself, they weren't too much defenses there, but in the mountain it was, okay, and it was really hard to overtake that mountain. Okay, it was really hard. But what else? Warning, go ahead.
Beaches were just ash, volcanic ash, so it made it really hard to ground the terrain.
Awesome. Good job. Good job. So on Iwo Jima, especially the volcanic ash, it just seemed like the soil was really loose. Okay, it wasn't compacted really, and it was hard for the soldiers, the armored vehicles, to have a successful invasion and get boots on the ground and plant these armored vehicles on the beach to invade that island. It was really hard to get a landing, to get a footing there. Okay, but once they did, they didn't see too much defenses until they reached the mountain. Okay, Mount Suribachi. And what was the famous picture at Iwo Jima? What was it? Jeffrey?
Raising of the flag.
Yeah, raising the flag picture. So I'm sure you've all seen that before. I know I showed it yesterday, but even before that, that's one of the most famous pictures in American history. And that really symbolizes the ending of the war in the Pacific. Okay, we're going to make a decision here. We're going to invade the island of Japan, or are we going to bomb it with a new super weapon, which we're going to discuss today. And Okinawa, very similar, right? It was hard to invade onto that island because how muddy it was. Okay, a lot of the tanks, a lot of the armored vehicles really couldn't move too well. They actually had to bring bulldozers in to move around the earth to make sure that they could have a successful invasion onto that island. And like I said, the Japanese were going to fight to the very end. There's a reason why there really wasn't any prisoners after these two battles. Okay, and if we tried to maybe plan an invasion on the mainland, there'd be millions and millions of casualties and deaths. Okay, not only for the United States, obviously we want to make sure we can prevent that, but women, children, there'd be a total war in Japan. All right, good. Is there any questions on those two battles? Bless you. I was waiting for it. All right, terms for today. So we have the Manhattan Project and the Trinity Test. So tomorrow we're going to talk about VJ Day, the end of the war, Japan, the Pacific Theater. Next week we're going to talk a little bit more about the Holocaust. And yeah, I'll finish things up. Friday we'll have the exam. Thursday we can have a review. That's all I got. Since Serene's senior in here, I have to finish up for that time. And I guess we'll watch a movie. So what are you guys doing that week after? You don't know? I don't know if you have like a planned trip or something like that, or going somewhere.
I was going home and just
Hanging out.
leaving.
Yeah. Wrapping it up. Including your high school career. Does it feel good?
Yes, it does.
Where are you looking to go?
Mansfield.
Oh, that's right. You didn't tell me that. Nice. Well, the Mountaineers, right? The Mounties? Mountaineers, I think. Well, you're close to the New York border then. You could go right up to the Finger Lakes when you're 21. A good time. It's cool up there.
You've been there a couple times, haven't you?
Yeah, I was there 3 times. And then once for my summer job. I had to drop some equipment off and head back home. It took the whole day, which was cool. Dropped off manure and supplies.
You would be doing
What's that?
what?
Yeah, it was actually Mr. Dietrich's son and I making the trip. Yeah, him and I are best buds. We work together in summer. He's a physical therapist now. All right, Manhattan Project. What do we got, Kira? What do we have?
It was the development and kind of like plans with the atomic bomb in secret.
Good job. So Manhattan Project, secret development of the atomic bomb. And they called it Manhattan Project because it kind of first developed there on Manhattan Island, New York City. Then it decided, well, if something goes terribly wrong, we probably shouldn't have it at the most populated city in the country. Should probably move it out in a remote location. That's kind of where they moved it out into New Mexico, out into the desert. And this project started when? When did this project start? Gracie, what do you have here for that? Do you know?
1939.
Yeah, 1939. Really, the outbreak of World War II. America was trying to develop this super weapon, this atomic weapon. And in a way, it was kind of a race, right? There's a lot of other countries trying to develop this as well. But the U.S. in 1945, which we'll talk about, the Trinity Test, successfully detonates the first nuclear weapon with the Manhattan Project. This was development of that nuclear weapon, 1939 to 1945. All right, good. Mr. Manhattan, right? The Watchman. I don't know if you ever saw that. Yeah, that's a good one. Trinity Test. What do we have? Griffin?
It was the code name of the first detonation of the nuclear device. It was conducted by the United States Army at 5:29 a.m. on July 16, 1945, as part of the Manhattan Project.
Nice. What a wake-up call, right? Whoa, whose alarm was that? Yeah, Trinity Test in July 1945. This was obviously the conclusion of the Manhattan Project. And Oppenheimer, we'll talk about him today. He was leading the charge here with the development of this atomic weapon. And I'll show you a video today, which is kind of chilling, of what he describes with the development of this nuclear weapon. And it's kind of, like I said, chilling, scary in a way, the way he describes it, of his creation. Although it will bring an end to this war, it will create a new age of warfare and fear and paranoia that this could be the end of mankind itself. With the Trinity Test, the first successful detonation of a nuclear weapon out in the desert, United States, New Mexico, and how this was showing to the rest of the world. Well, no one really knew about it. The United States obviously did, but FDR, he was really kind of leading this charge here. And even Truman, vice president, he didn't know about this development of this atomic bomb. The second man in charge had no clue that they were creating this nuclear weapon. And once he became president, when FDR died, he was sworn in and Actually, it took a couple months before they told him about it. It's like, oh, hey, we have this nuclear bomb. We're developing it, and it's successful. And you can utilize it to end this war. And we'll talk about if he does or not. Obviously, no, he does. But had to make a hard decision. All right, is there any questions on those two terms? Good? All right, so real quick, go over this one slide. Trinity Test. And I'll just wrap it up with the video. That'll be it. Okay, so the Manhattan Project, like I said, this started in 1939, and this was right around the outbreak of World War II, and the United States trying to develop this super weapon, this atomic weapon. And obviously, I had to keep it under lock and key, had to keep it secret. If any of this information got leaked out to, let's say, Germany, who knows what this world would look like. If any of this information got to the Soviet Union, which eventually it would, and in 1949 they'll test their first atomic weapon. But the Manhattan Project was this secret project, starting really at the outbreak of World War II. And in 1945, the first detonation of an atomic weapon occurred. And obviously, this will change the world forever. Okay, leading up into the Cold War, and this fear, this paranoia, and how nuclear war could happen at any moment, especially in the 60s when the Cuban Missile Crisis occurs and happens, that it's just a new wave, a new idea of what war will look like. But in 1945, in July, this was a successful test, a successful detonation of this atomic weapon, and this will give Truman a hard decision to make. Do we use this atomic weapon to end the war early? Do we try to use this weapon to prevent any more American casualties, deaths? An invasion of Japan would be very difficult to accomplish. We all know the Japanese and their culture, they'll never surrender. They'll never give up. They'll fight to the bitter end. And if that means a total war with women and children, they'll do that. So when you kind of weigh out the death toll, the casualties of an invasion onto the mainland of Japan or using these atomic weapons, kind of weighed more towards using the atomic weapon. And maybe there's an alternative motive, right? Maybe the United States wanted to utilize this weapon to show another country in the world, the Soviet Union, what we got. And maybe try to dictate post-war in Europe, post-war in Asia. Maybe we can use this as a stronghold, maybe a strong arm the Soviet Union into certain discussions, conversations, and agreements after World War II. And maybe stop the spread of communism, right? Because wherever the Soviet Union is going to land, wherever they travel, in Europe or in Asia, that's where communism will go next. And that's not going to help democracy or capitalism, business partners all around the world. It's not going to help us whatsoever. So utilizing this bomb, maybe there were some alternative motives of using this bomb as well. But Truman had to make a hard decision whether or not to use this new super weapon on people to end World War II or try to use an invasion. But anyway, that's the development of the Manhattan Project, the Trinity Test, this first successful test in 1945. And Oppenheimer, I'll show you a video here then, an interview with him, the man that was kind of leading the charge with this development. He gives a kind of a scary, it's really scary, it's chilling interview, and he describes himself as Death, the destroyer of worlds. And he's referring back to a part in Hindu Bible, Hindu scripture, of how he's now this angel of death in a way. All right, so is there any questions on that? Like I said, Truman didn't even know about this development of the Manhattan Project, this super weapon. He was the second man in charge, and he had no clue that they're creating this weapon. It just goes to show how top secret this project really was and the development of this atomic weapon. And obviously, if that got into the wrong hands, let's say Hitler, who knows what could have happened? Right? Who knows what could have happened? All right, and we'll talk about it tomorrow, but we'll utilize this on 2 cities in Japan, which will end the war. And the Japanese, on many occasions, they didn't even want to give up. We're going to utilize this weapon until they surrendered. We had 5 of them ready, and we're going to continue to drop these bombs on Japan until they officially surrendered. All right, well, that's what I have. I will play a video now just summarizing the Trinity test. And really, like I said, how top secret it was, there's a lot of fear with these men that were in the cahoots and knowing of this weapon. Let's say it didn't work. What do you think would happen to a lot of these scientists and these people involved with the Manhattan Project? What do you think would happen to these people if it was a dud? Troy, what do you think? They'd probably kill them, right? Or put them in jail for the rest of their life. They can't allow these secrets to get out to other countries. So, on many occasions, they even described how fearful it was. If this atomic weapon didn't detonate, if it was a dud, many of these people would probably be killed by the government. Many of these people would probably be put to jail for the rest of their life. Because if these secrets got out, who knows what could have happened. Or if it would have worked. What if it worked past their expectations? What may have happened? I don't know. The atmosphere may have just disintegrated. Maybe all humankind, everybody on Earth, would perish and die. Maybe that would crack the Earth, split the Earth in 2. I don't know. There's so many different types of ideas running in these people's minds and these scientists' minds that this could be the very end with this test alone. Or like I said, if it was a dud, these people probably would be killed or exiled, or well, not exiled, but placed in jail for the rest of their lives. So yeah, there's a lot on the line here. A lot on the line. I couldn't imagine that.